Yeah, I have no idea what's going on there. Why this is still up. I am fighting this right now, trying to get this thing down. This is absolutely crazy. This is supposed to be a countdown. So as you can see, I am messing with this thing. When all else fails, just go live. So you're watching me fumble through this in real time. Long story short, I'm supposed to start a live stream series today, actually. But I have been fighting my tech. I have been fighting my room, my setup, everything of that nature. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. I am not even going to try to figure all that out. I'm just going to go live, figure it out on the fly. If everyone laughs at me, cool. If not, whatever. It's a growing pain learning process. So, as you can see right here, I have this screen up, which I haven't done this in like 3 months, and I totally forget how to mess with the controls, which is kind of crazy and embarrassing. This is normally like the intro that I would use when I start up my stream. However, since I wanted to skip it, there we go. I was not seeing it. So, anywho, as you can see right here, I've been teasing it for like the last few days or few weeks actually. Supposed to start last week. I was going to start a flow live stream. Long story short, I've been doing just so much stuff, running around like a complete madman. So I was like, you know what? Uh, Rather than putting this off, trying to get things all done and all figured out, because as you can see, the studio is not even fully set up. Long story short, last week I was getting ready to start. However, I realized that my computer was restarting constantly because my Rodecaster, the way it's running through everything, it was shorting out the wires, right? So I did a whole bunch of research. I couldn't figure it out. I thought something was wrong with my desktop because I built this. And a lot of people were saying, oh, well, maybe it's a faulty power supply. Maybe it's this and all these different things. So figured it out that the Rodecaster is shorting it out because the motherboard is thinking that it's like a power overload because the Rodecaster has its own power source. So I was like, whatever. I ordered this USB port, USB, whatever you call those things, like with a whole bunch of slots, right? It's a like a little tower, a little device that has a whole bunch of ports that you normally could connect to like a MacBook or something. Everything's supposed to run through that. However, the monitor, all the other connections, everything works perfectly through it. But for some reason, the USB C port that's going through it is not working with the Rodecaster. So I had to plug this directly into the PC again. So I was like, well, I really don't want to go live, start the whole series, and having to crash the whole thing in the midst of it. So I was like, whatever. You know what? Let me try to sort that out through the week. Didn't happen. And I'm still in the same situation. So I was like, should I put this off another week? Should I order something else, try to get it? But anybody that knows, you live on the island trying to get parts in and flying things in, there's delays, all sorts of stuff. So I was like, well, I think everybody would understand, like, right? What's going on? The situation is you're a creator, you're on the island, it's hard to get tech, all this stuff in. But I was like, you know what? I think it would make an interesting story. Let me just do this stuff live on the fly. So as you can see, the setup that I have right here, this is the guest room, right? The stuff that you don't normally see, everything I normally show up, everything, the green screen's up, all pretty and what have you. Well, the last time I live streamed or did this whole setup and everything, it was in my old place where I had everything like permanently set up. But then I moved to a new place, used this as my office for quite a while. But then during the holidays, of course, now you can see over here, there's actually a guest bed in the corner because this is actually the guest room officially. And this was the room when my mother and my stepfather and everybody was here for the holidays. We converted it. And I was like, all right, I had to pull down my studio and everything. And it just wasn't working. I couldn't have my stands, everything for the green screen and all that stuff that I normally would have. So I built this rack going across the top. You can see right here behind me. Now, the crazy thing with that is, as you can see, it's kind of at a slant. I had to angle it because what happens is the dimensions of the room, if I put all of the bars for the green screen in, like all the things that nobody really talks about when you're trying to create and make stuff cool, right? It doesn't fit the dimensions of this room. So I had to angle it, put it at a slant, and I had to drill some holes into the wall with the concrete, make my own little thing, whatever. I'm rigging it up, good to go. However, for me to actually reach that and stand on it, I have to stand up on something, and I don't have a ladder here. So I was standing up on a cooler. Now, you might not know this by just seeing me on screen or whatever it is, but I'm not a small guy, right? I am like 6'1", 240, 245. I don't know where I'm at right now, but when I was playing football, I was up to 255. So I'm not a small guy. Anyways, so for me to go up on a cooler trying to hang a green screen, it's not really the smartest thing to do, dangling and all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I try to do this right now with all this stuff, trying to set it up. It's going to take me more time because it's going to take me a little time. So it's like, whatever. Let me just go live and just show everybody what's going on. So as you can see, I have a green screen right behind, or a bar for a green screen right here behind me. So the next time, hopefully, when you see this whole setup and I'm streaming and I'm talking about all the cool things, especially in the Flow ecosystem and all the stuff that which I was planning to do today, that won't even be there. So you won't even know what's going on. It's going to look all polished. You're going to see graphics and things flying in the back and you just take it for granted. But believe it or not, as difficult as that green screen thing is that I'm speaking about, is there are two things that are actually harder about streaming that a lot of people probably don't even realize. Number one, your mic placement. Where are you going to put the mic? As a podcaster, which I like to say I have a face for radio, I have a face for podcasting. I don't have to dress up. I could do it in my pajamas. I could do it whatever, right? I don't have to pretty up myself or anything. So the mic is literally right here on me normally. But as you can see, that's not good for a camera angle. So it took me hours and hours repositioning. I had to buy a new boom, all sorts of things, trying to figure out where am I going to put this thing that's not going to block my two monitors before me, but then also be able to be right here getting the best sound. So it was actually pretty crazy trying to figure out exactly how I was going to do this. So I tried a whole bunch of different things. I tried a whole bunch of setups. I had the mic, I would say at minimum 20 different places before I figured out that if I put it off to the right and bend the boom arm away from the monitors, I can see everything perfectly fine, and the mic is directly positioned before my mouth, picking up the audio the best. Now, if you're like me, I'm a podcast person first. I care more about the audio than I do the visuals and the picture quality and everything. So it meant a lot for me to get the audio right, get the mic placement right. Then second, having it so that it's actually visually appealing that way with me blocking off the graphics when I do have the green screen up and all that stuff. So I can show you charts. I can show you different websites. I can show you how I've been farming all this stuff and just doing really cool stuff within this whole ecosystem. But first and foremost, I had to set it up. Now, the other thing that nobody really talks about that is really, really difficult when it comes to video streaming and getting quality of everything is your light placement. Now, as you can see, the light right now is kind of grainy. I have one single umbrella light that's over here to my left, which would be to the right of the camera. And that was the best place. That was so hard to figure out where I'm going to put the light. Now, the default light for the room is over here. The window is behind me. The absolute worst place you can have a light source when you're trying to shoot video or do stream or anything is behind you, because what happens is it creates a silhouette. Or if it's directly off to the side of the camera, there's a huge sun flare. So when I had this set up initially, what I found is the packaging that came with some of this equipment. I was like, okay, this has a nice little foam bendy thing, if you will, that I can put over as a visor, a screen. So I rigged all this stuff up. Again, stuff that nobody really talks about when you're creating. You just see everything all nice and polished and you think, oh yeah, they're spending thousands of dollars and they figured all the stuff out. No, a lot of the times the stuff that we buy actually doesn't work out of the box, and we have to figure out how to get it to fit our specific situation, whether it's a power source, because certain countries have different electrical requirements and all sorts of things. So you have to rig up a lot of things, especially if you're in Europe, Jamaica, the US, whatever it might be. People don't think about these things until you're in the situation. Now, had this thing all rigged up as a sunscreen, but then I was like, nah, it's not getting me the best thing. So I was like, wait a minute. I have my umbrella lights because those of you that know have been following the whole Tropic Vibe brand and so forth, you know that actually comes from my t-shirt company / gaming brand from back in the day. And I had this whole green screen light, everything set up from when I used to shoot my clothes models, right? So over time, I got all the stuff, and it just happens to just work perfectly for my setup and all this stuff. But it was never the case. And even to think that I'd be live streaming, doing podcasting, all that stuff, that was never the plan either. If you followed the backstory of everything, I started live streaming during the pandemic. Literally, I just got before the what do you call it, the live button on Facebook. Yes, Facebook. For those of you that are, remember Facebook. I just got on there. I started live streaming, started talking, telling high school stories, because I am an extreme introvert, believe it or not. Even though I talk, I'm very confident, and I'm blah, 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 blah. Once I start on a topic, as long as it's not like, hey, how's the weather doing? Oh yeah, it's good. It's Jamaica. Of course, it's sunny, right? I don't want to have that conversation. So if you try to talk to me about that stuff, I don't really go anywhere. But when it comes to a specific topic, something I'm really interested in, such as crypto, such as tech, anything of that nature, I can just go on and on and on. So it's like night and day. Anywho, I wanted to get better at public speaking, doing all this stuff on the fly, whatever, because, normally I'm just like, whatever, just not a speaker. It's not my thing. However, I was in the position where I was running a business at the time. I was the manager. I had a staff of like 30, 40 people. I have to go to all these things and I'm up there rubbing elbows, taking pictures for newspapers and all this stuff. And I'm like, I really hate this. So no matter how much I wanted to put my supervisors and all the people that I had on the team up front, I always ended up there anyway. So I was like, all right, let me get better at public speaking. Let me get better at just doing this thing, putting it on when I need to, simply because it's just professionally beneficial to me. I don't do things just because. I always have an end goal. So anyways, I started live streaming, telling high school stories. The plan was to do 10 days straight. I was just going to tell 10 days of high school stories, some interesting things that were happening. But then I started to get a whole bunch of DMs, messages. Hey, tell this story, tell that story, tell this story. Again, this was the pandemic. Everyone was locked down, had nothing better to do. It went 100 days straight. And I still had more stories, more requests, but I just retired. I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, 100 days straight, everything opened up. And again, the business that we were in was quote unquote essential workers. So literally I'm working, I'm out, I'm about doing 12, 13, 14-hour days, live streaming on lunch breaks in trucks, driving down the road, all sorts of crazy stuff. But anyways, what ended up happening was that kind of broke everything wide open. And that led to me doing a whole bunch of challenges, doing podcasting, doing all this stuff. And how I ended up in podcasting, video streaming, all this stuff was because, again, I'm on the island in Jamaica, the boring day job, family business, all this craziness was going around all around me. And guess what? I wanted to talk about this stuff, had nobody to talk to. So I just hopped on the microphone, started talking about these things, and just that's what it came to. Before long, people started to request, wanted me to do different things, wanted me to speak here and there, wanted to come on the show, all this stuff. And then that's how it really grew, right? So did I ever plan to be a creator? Absolutely not. If anyone told me pre-pandemic that I would have been on the microphone doing shows and live streams and all that stuff, I'd have been like, no, you're a total madman. That's not my style. I am perfectly fine behind the scenes. No one has to see me. I don't care if they ever know my name, want to see my face. As a matter of fact, the first few companies that I ran, which was I started graphic designing and all this stuff when I was in high school. I used to have spokespeople pretending to be the company person, right? And when someone would call me and I answer the phone and whatever, I'd be like, yeah, I got to talk to the boss, do all this stuff. At the time, I was like 16, 17. I started doing that, really kicking off. By the time Fiverr came out, this was, I don't know, like my freshman year in college. And I literally had this whole persona set up and I was just the customer service guy. I was the guy dealing with the account. And no one ever knew that it was a one-man show. So reason being is I never wanted to be upfront, be known for anything other than just producing whatever I'm producing. And I don't care if you ever see me. So complete irony. I don't know how I got into this story. But all I want to say is, as you can see right here, this is the behind the scenes tour of how the studio looks. Completely just going off the top of my head, showing you the stuff right now. I have my little light here. I have my boom arm coming over here. And the second thing that was, or third thing, because I said two things that were already hard. The third thing that was hard was this camera placement. Trying to figure out where to put the camera is the other thing. So I have it actually on a microphone boom arm. The camera that I am using is an iPhone. So I'm using an iPhone as a camera. It is way better than any webcam that you can buy, as far as I know. I've tested a whole bunch of them. Now they have a whole bunch of like Elgato, high resolution, whatever, still does not beat an iPhone. So I have it rigged up through this. I have, airplane mode and everything, so it's not interrupted. I'm using the Elgato app connected, plugged onto this thing. So how is it that it's positioned here? Remember, I'm using a desktop with two monitors. What I'm actually using is a microphone boom, and I rigged up this thing with a camera holder, or it adjusts as a cell phone holder, but I replaced what should be the microphone arm where, you'd normally have this thing on it, right? You can't really see it right there. But I took a machine screw, a bolt, bolted it onto the thing. Again, just rigging this stuff up to get it to work, because I tried a whole bunch of things and I could never get the right angle. But I figured if I drilled a microphone boom onto the wall and then use this as the mount. I can then position, move the camera or move the phone, do everything that I need to do in order to get the right angle. So, said all that to say this. Number one, that yes, we show up. It looks absolutely cool. You see all of the things and you just see the show and you say, oh, cool. Wow. This is well produced and so forth. But the actual time that goes into setting up things and positioning things, not to mention how ugly it looks before the editing, all of the whatever you want to call post-production and all that stuff, people take for granted. I mean, us creators, or us creators, like I'm some sort of a professional now, right? What we go through to do all this stuff, again, the finished product, and it's really funny too, because sometimes a video that might only be 30 seconds, 60 seconds, might be over 20, 30 hours that went into the thing, which is crazy. I saw a one with like visual graphics and all this stuff. I think it was a 9-second commercial, and she said that she put 180 hours into it, right? You'd never know that because all of the things that goes into it. But anyways, I said all that, again, bringing back to the light setup. As you can see, based on this, I'm looking on this right now. It's a little pixelated. It's a little bit grainy. A lot of that has to do with where this light placement is. So what I've been doing is, again, about 50 different places, trying to figure out the right angle to put this umbrella light, trying to get it to not be pixelated, and also not have the sun flare. So I'm going to actually show you right now, hopefully without knocking down the microphone and everything, what actually goes into this. Again, if you're interested in this stuff, cool, whatever. You want to start live streaming, you want to start doing this stuff. Again, this has nothing to do. I'm not going to be like a professional live streamer coach or anything of that nature, creator coach. All I'm showing you is what's happening behind the scenes when I'm doing this stuff and how I'm producing this. And in case you want to get in the game, that's cool. We can collab, whatever it is, hit me up. But other than that, I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling any courses like training you how to do this stuff or anything. Main reason why I'm doing this is because I was supposed to start the series today. And I just know when all else fails, just go live, right? It's just, you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be perfect. And I just didn't want to put it off anymore. I started that whole 100-day series thing just, on the fly. Started podcasting on the fly. Somewhere around here, you could probably see the image of my original podcast studio, which is set up in a closet. I was using my clothes as the sound buffers. I had my microphone strapped to a chair. It was just absolutely crazy, running through my iPhone in a record app. It was god awful. But guess what? It got the reps in. I was able to start speaking on the microphone. So anyways, so here we go. This right here, as you can see, I'm going to move this around. I'm going to step away from the mic a little bit just so you can actually see as I'm positioning this, trying to figure out the best place to put this umbrella light so that it's not all grainy and weird without creating flares. So 1 second. See? There we go. We have one. See, there you go. You can see you can see the flare right there. So as it comes into the screen, you can kind of see how it messes up and just distorts everything. So trying to figure out the right angle is the problem now. And this is what I have been doing for the last 2 hours, right? Trying to figure out where to put this thing right, put it at the right height. Think. Nope. Just based on trial and error, somewhere off to this left is going to be the sweet spot of where it's going to end up going. And by the way, that was my first I think, because I really am conscious of those ums. And that's the other thing, too. So if you're a person that are very conscious of your public speaking and you think that you and you too much, I can definitely tell you the best way to get rid of that is to start recording yourself as you speak. And if you have to edit it, it actually makes you so sick of hearing your own that you start doing it less. You're much more aware of it. And what I realized, the number one thing for me to not and so much is to think about what I'm saying, know what I'm talking about, but then also slow it down sometimes, right? As I go, a lot of the times I tend to speak very fast. I don't have the attention span to sit there and listen to someone go through the steps like this. And that's why I pretty much slept my way to. I don't even want to go into that story. Well, you know what? I already started, so might as well. I slept my way through school, right through college, because I was just so bored in school, and I was like, all right, what do I need to do to get like my 85, my 3 point whatever, be on the merit roll and still play football? Okay, cool. I sleep my way through it, and I was just very bored in school because it's just too slow paced. I listen to podcasts at 2x or 1.8, 1.9 at a minimum. And I like to say my father speaks at a 3x, my mother speaks at 2x. So I cannot sit and listen to someone who just talks very, very slow. And because of that, I tend to also speak very fast. But when I am doing things, I try to slow it down, especially if I'm here speaking in Jamaica and, you know, the accent barrier or whatever. And I have to, you know, kind of put it on like so. And you understand what I was saying? So I have to slow it down, or else things start to go, you know, haywire, and I'm trying to convey my message. So again, I don't know how I got from the lights to this. Oh, I tell you how it happened. I don't have any script. I don't have any notes. I'm not working off of anything. I'm going off the top of my head right now. Normally, when I do podcasting, when I do live streaming, when I do public speaking, when I do classes, anything of that nature, I have bullet points to keep my brain on the track. My brain is that's how it normally works, right? So when I'm not there with a script, or I wouldn't say a script because I don't like going word for word and verbatim. I like to be able to ad lib and throw my own stories into it and make things up as I go, as needed, right? Feel the temperature out in the room and then go with that. However, at the same time, if you just leave me without a script or without anything like I'm doing right now, I tend to go all over the place. And I say my brain is like a train going down the tracks, but left to its own devices, it's going to take a dirt road, right? So just use that analogy to picture what's going on here. So going back to this whole light situation, I am pretty sure, about 99% sure, that the issue is the height of it. And I'm not going to go through all of that because it's pretty just nuanced, and I'm just going to be moving it 1 inch at a time and then getting back to the camera to see how it looks. But pretty sure this is the position it needs to be in over here. I moved it from the corner, which is in that direction, sort of behind where my microphone is, and now it's directly adjacent to me, and the light is hitting me that way. And I'm seeing much better picture. However, it's a little bit grainy still, so I know that I probably need a secondary light somewhere, maybe right here. Not too harsh, but it's gonna just kind of soften things with like a soft box or something of that nature, but just to give me a better placement. And when I get the green screen up, depending on how that is, I'm gonna have to backlight the green screen. So that's another thing too. People don't really talk about all that. If you want a good green screen, you want good graphics, you want throw websites and games and charts and all sorts of stuff behind you, sure, you can use the default, let AI knock it out, and then you'll see heads popping in and out and bodies getting chopped off, and you'll see ears floating, all sorts of weird stuff, right? But if you spend less than $100, well, this is like 20 years ago almost now that I've had this thing, right? As a teenager when I bought it. But if probably you can get it on eBay for like maybe $100, right? A green screen, have it all set up and everything. It just makes your life so much easier. It's so much prettier, and it goes through. It's well worth the investment. And then you just click, yes, I have a green screen. And then when it comes to filtering and dropping things out, it just makes it so much better. Now, color correcting and all this stuff, scaling things up. Last thing I will say, again, I don't know how I went into all of this normally, is I use OBS. So OBS, Open Broadcast, I think system it stands for. It's a free download open source software that you can connect to anything, right? And then I have that running through Restream. So Restream is kind of a cool thing. So I use my camera connected to my PC. I'm running it through OBS Right now, it's just going straight. I'm not using the OBS, but if I was using OBS with the green screen and all that stuff, do the color corrections and adjustments and all that, then things start to look really cool and interesting. And then that's when I would start to have the graphics up and all that. So there's a lot of steps that goes into it, and feel free to Google any of that stuff. You look it up. There's YouTube tutorials literally on everything. How to use OBS, how to use a virtual camera on OBS, how to use your iPhone as a webcam, how to connect a Rodecaster to your PC for live streaming from Restream, right? All of these different things, just Google that. You can find countless videos on this stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much my setup right here. This is what I'm doing. And I think I have gone long enough. The show is supposed to be a half an hour show. Now, might as well start plugging that and whetting your appetite about that. So I'm streaming this right now to 3 different sources. I'm streaming this to YouTube, I'm streaming this to X, and I'm streaming it to Twitch. I'm not even on Twitch. I'm not a Twitch person, but whatever, I'll put it out there. It's being produced, so why not have it going to 3 different sources? So the reason why I have it going to 3 different sources, 3 different channels, if you will, is because, again, I'm creating the stream, so why not use it in 3 different places? The one on YouTube is actually just behind the scenes stuff, how I do stuff, how I create stuff. This is completely different than my Web3 content, which is pretty much what I'm known for at this point. But this show is going to be a Flow live stream, which I've been farming and exploring the Flow ecosystem now probably a couple months. Yeah, it was the end of last year when I really started to get into it. And those of you that aren't familiar with Flow, Flow is best known for CryptoKitties, Dapper Labs, the stuff that they did with Top Shot, really put all of this tech and NBA stuff on the map. NFL All Days, which is the equivalent for a football version of Top Shot, all these different things. Well, they split. They're 2 different companies now. There's Flow, and then there's Dapper. Dapper did all that stuff, and Flow, the blockchain company, if you will, has all sorts of cool things now. They have EVM compatibility. They have this DeFi ecosystem. They have just so many different things, bridging the old and the new, but 2 different entities. And I've been exploring this stuff, going down that rabbit hole, just doing some really cool things, seeing what's going on, using the Flow wallet, but also using MetaMask, which is really cool because that was one of the drawbacks of it before, is that MetaMask did not connect to it. It wasn't EVM compatible. MetaMask, of course, being the #1 EVM compatible wallet for Ethereum, Arbitrum, and all the other EVM blockchains, right? It now works with the Flow ecosystem because they have EVM on Flow. Really cool stuff is happening there, and I've been exploring it. I've been farming. I've been staking. I've been doing all sorts of things that might be interesting to some people. I know those of you that are my Bitcoin maxis hear all this stuff and say, "Yep, I want nothing to do with this," but it's all good. I'm still friends with you guys. So this is what I truly believe. This is like the proposal that I always put out there. I think truly that all roads do lead to Bitcoin. Someone starts to check out some tech. It doesn't really matter which area of tech. I think eventually you're going to end up in blockchains. You're going to end up in quote unquote Web3, triggering words for Bitcoin maxis, but you're going to end up on Bitcoin anyways, right? So once you start seeing all these solutions being solved, you see all of the problems fixed, and you see the value here, I think, again, it's not threatening to anybody's ecosystem. If you're a maxi of anything, okay, cool, whatever. But I'm not even going to go into that anymore. You can clearly tell that I'm not a maxi of anything. I'm a solutions maxi. I just like cool things. I like problems being solved. And as I discover them, I explore them and share them with other people. If they want to go through that, cool. And that's pretty much how I started my content journey. Again, I found the cool stuff with those NFTs, triggering word for a lot of people I know. Everyone was telling me this stuff is all fraud, this is that, and blah, 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 blah. It's never going to work, blah, 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 blah. Now you have like DMVs using it to register vehicles. You have RWAs popping up, tokenizing shares on stock markets, all this crazy stuff, properties. And guess what? It's because I saw the value in it from then. At the time, yes, everybody was trading JPEGs and monkey pictures and all this stuff, but the underlying technology, I always saw it was as cool. So that's how I started just talking about this stuff, because I knew where it was going. Started podcasting, started streaming, started spaces, all this stuff. And now this is the area that I've been exploring again. And what better way than to fire up the camera, start live streaming again, and when all else fails, just go live, right? So that is also a lesson for those of you that are trying to start a business, do whatever else. I know I'm all over the place, but again, remember I told you I had no script and I'm just going off the top of my head as these thoughts come. I'm going to shut this down. The goal was to go a half an hour, and I'm at 29 minutes and 50 seconds right now. But what I will say to try to land the plane and everything is, no matter what, if you're trying to, I don't know, start a blog, whoever's doing that these days, if you're trying to start a vlog, a YouTube channel, X page, start creating content wherever, just do it, right? You're gonna suck. I won't lie. I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat that and make you feel good about yourself. It is the world that we're in right now. You're gonna suck when you first start. Just like when you started riding your bike, you started playing football or whatever it is that you ever got good at, playing trumpet, saxophone, clarinet, whatever. You're going to be god awful when you start. So just start. It doesn't matter that your camera sucks. It doesn't matter that you have the worst lighting, the worst microphone, the worst everything, right? Right now, one thing that I even forgot to do is turn off this fan, which is probably blowing over the top of my microphone, which is highly advised. Normally, I just sweat it out. I turn off the fan. But because, again, I was in here just sweating and setting all the stuff up, and I'm just like, whatever, I'm just going to go live, show people what's going on. Point being, I'm living by my own advice, my own virtues, and I'm just starting well before I actually think I'm ready and things are in place. And I recommend that you do that too. And it's even better when you're actually having fun with what you're doing. Because the one thing that I will say is I started off daily live streaming, telling stories. It was fun. Then it became work. Shut it down after 100. I was doing a podcast daily. I did the first 365 days, I did 365 episodes. So it was like 400 and some odd days straight every single day. Even when I had COVID with 108, I'd be dead. 103, right down back to 98 degrees. So I went all the way up, all the way down, still did it every single day just because I knew it's like, if I can get through this, I can get through everything. However, if you notice, there was a long pause between when I did my last podcast episode. Why is that? It's because at some point along the way, it started to become work. It started to feel like, you know what, this is not what I actually started doing this for. And what ended up happening was a whole bunch of people were throwing things at me. Hey, make some content about this. And I was like, no, I don't want to cover that. I think it's a scam, whatever. And like my DMs were flooded. Marketing agencies, all sorts of people were coming to me about all sorts of things that I was like, you know what? I'm spending more time telling people no than actually creating stuff that I want to create. And then it got to the point where I started to work with teams and I'm on this and seeing how things are. And I was like, you know what? This is starting to get fun again because now I have things to like actually talk about from personal experience of being behind the scenes, other than what I was doing before was covering the space, right? Now I'm actually in the space and I have stuff to like speak about from personal experience. So now I can fire it back up and still have fun again. And yeah, so this is where all this stuff glues together, where I'm going to land the plane. It all connects. Just as I said that my green screen comes from when I had a t-shirt company, just as my Tropic Vibes name is from my Xbox gamer tag, just as I started live streaming telling COVID stories about high school, or telling high school stories during COVID, I should say. All of these things just glue together, come together in one place. And at the end of the day, that's what makes me unique. That's the unique value that I have to offer. Can you listen to somebody else talk about blockchain? Yes, you can. Can you listen to somebody else talk about their setting up their creator stuff? Yes, you can. But at the end of the day, all of those things that I just said for the last half an hour, I absolutely know I'm the only person that has ever experienced that, went through all of those crazy things, gluing that together, duct taping, and drilling this stuff to make it angled for my odd shaped room, all that. It makes it unique. So in this world of AI, all the stuff getting spun out, a whole bunch of easily created content and what have you. The one thing I can say that kind of hedges against all of that is just being me and all the crazy stuff that I go through, because there's a lot to cover. I mean, a whole lot to cover. And I'm not talking about in tech. I'm just talking about the crazy things that happens to me on a daily basis. And that's what makes my spin, my content unique. And that's one thing I always say too, even with like Bitcoiners, right? There's really only two conversations to have about Bitcoin, yet there's so many different Bitcoin influencers and content creators and so forth. There's two conversations. Number one, money is broken. Number two, you're not in control. That's it. Yet people have like whole industries speaking about, or they've created a whole industry speaking about this stuff. And there's only two talking points. what makes these people so unique? It's their own story and how they interact with this stuff. Yes, everyone can go out and just repeat Michael Saylor and everything, but guess what? He has that unique story of seeing the Googles, the Oracles, and all those other people beating him, and then him risking it all, throwing it out there. So yes, his story is unique. So all those people that repeat after Michael Saylor and not having that background and like tying all that stuff together, it's whatever. It's boring content. But when you throw in your unique spin, the unique things that's only you, that's what makes it unique. So I will land the plane there. You can get your setup from all those other sources that I said. Just Google all that stuff. If there's anything I said that sounds interesting to you, hit me up, ask a question, tell a tale, whatever it might be. Just let me know. I'm more than happy to help. But just as promised, I said I was going live on Friday with my live stream. It's not all set up. I don't have everything ready, but guess what? I went live. So I will see you all next week, and see you in the spaces, see you in the podcast world, see you in everywhere. And yes, the podcast is coming back. It is coming back full steam ahead. I'm doing everything that I am doing again because it's fun. I'm having fun, and I'm not just doing this because it's a grind. I am just being me, putting my unique flair on there. And yeah, so later.